Hello, I'm back. How fun was that to watch in the theater on the Fringe? Amazing. Well, we have conversations to start, so please welcome writer, director, editor Sean Baker.
This one's Sean.
This beautiful plaque of Simon that he never received. You give it to him.
Of course. There's a good reason he's not here tonight. But I can't actually reveal who he's working with, but he's working with a master director and had to run off and do a few scenes. He's overseas, so it's very, he'll get this, and he's gonna love it.
Well, it's a good reason for him not to be here. He's booked and busy and into no small part to this incredible performance. And thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to talk about just sort of like how this movie came together, because I know, Sean, that you have been thinking about a suitcase pimp character like Mikey Saber since Starlet, right? So how long were you kind of ruminating on this, and how did it kind of come together with Simon and the script and everything in 2020?
Sure. Well, first off, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. And I'm sorry, I'm neurotic. I have to mention, it was the audio, maybe on the print, wasn't the best tonight. The dialogue's good, so please, if you're ever interested, the mix is actually great and it's well recorded, just so you know. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. So anyway, yeah, this is very much it stems from the film I made called Starlet that Chris Bergosh and I wrote. It was a 2012 film feature that I made. A couple of you have seen it. Cool. It's actually on the Criterion channel right now, and it's going to be getting a physical release very soon. But while we were on the set of Starlet, which is about the adult film industry here in California, we were shooting in real model houses, and we were also working with people from the adult film industry, and they were our consultants, and I heard a lot of stories. And there was one day where we learned what a suitcase pimp was, and it was fascinating. And I remember that I was even on set. Radiant Chung, who shot Starlet, turned to me and he goes, "There's a whole other movie about this guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." So it was sort of this idea that Chris and I were throwing around for years, but it was something we never thought we would make, or something that maybe was down the line. We were pretty much all developing a film up in Vancouver for 2 years, 2018 and 19. And we were just about to go. We were very close. We were a couple of months out, and COVID hit. And suddenly, it was like, oh my God! Sam and I we were all here in LA, and we just thought, oh, what are we going to do? And month after month went by, and I think around April, Alex Sachs, wonderful producer, along with Glenn Bassner from Film Nation, who is, I think, here in the audience tonight. Approached me and our team about that if we can make a really small film out in the middle of nowhere with 10 people, we can do it. We're financed. And it was a tiny movie. It ended up being 1.1 million in the end. But it was we didn't know if the world was, you all remember, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we said, yeah, well, actually there is this idea that's been sitting on the back burner for a while, and I already had pretty much beginning, middle, and end worked out, and then it was just about quickly getting it on paper, getting this wonderful team to Texas. First Alex Coco and I doing our own location scouting in May of 2020?
It was like June.
So it was really early on. We were very frightened. We were always masked, but it was very interesting to just see that world. And we drove right up. We went to Corpus Christi and we drove north, just exploring all the refinery towns. And we came across Texas City, and we were like, this is just magical. And it's right next to Galveston, right next to San Leon, and that whole area has so much history, dark history, very dark history. So we then were like, this is it. And we're off to the races, right?
So in June, you're doing location scouting. Are you also kind of meeting some of the people who would populate this world?
Yeah, I mean, we were just driving around looking for locations, and we met Brittany Rodriguez, who plays June in the film. Sean and I were just driving around. We were trying to find a place to have lunch, and she just saw her walking her dog, and we were just like, that girl looks great. So we just drove up to her and just kind of awkward, but we were just like, we're making a movie. Sean always brings DVDs with him, or Blu-rays, which are sort of, most people don't even have the capability of watching them, but we bring them just
like, we made this, we're legit.
We're two guys, driving up to a girl, so we wanted to sort of try to be like, just reach out to us if you want, and she did, and she was very enthusiastic. She actually was familiar with Water Project, so that really helped us, and she reached out, and that happened a few times actually, with a few of the people.
Talk about Brenda.
Brenda, who plays Lil.
Who plays Lil?
Yeah, Sean, you should tell us.
Well, I was, we were by that point, we were in pre-production. We were at the house.
We were shortlisting.
And we were shortlisting. And we didn't want to bother, the owner of the house was very incredibly generous with allowing us to shoot there for very little money and all. So we didn't want to bother him a lot, especially when we didn't need to be inside. So I had to go to the bathroom. I have a small bladder. So but the refineries are surrounded with outhouses because the men working in the area. So I go to this outhouse and I go in, do my thing, and I come out and Brenda is in my face. And she's like, do you live around here? Do you have a car? And I'm like, oh, I thought she was reprimanding me for using the outhouse. And she's like, I need to jump right now. I need to jump. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, I can make that happen. But I just, as I was looking at her, I'm like, my God, she's Lil. She's exactly Lil. And so I ran back to the house and I said to Drew and Alex, you have to go jump her car right now. And we ran over there, we jumped the car, and as she was driving away, we were like, can you audition? We want you to be in our movie. And she was like, yeah, sure. And that was it. And then, yeah, she's a natural. She's incredible. And she's just so funny.
And that was a role that we couldn't quite cast at that moment too. So it was so serendipitous. Like, I think we found somebody on Craigslist or something that we were like kind of wishy-washy on, but we were like, okay, well, this person can do the role. So her just emerging like that, it's just sort of the magic of these movies we make.
Okay, tell me if this is a true story. I read that you called Simon Rex on October 23rd, and you started shooting on October 26th.
Something. Oh well, the October is probably not right, but the week, 2 weeks is probably about where it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The casting to where you showed up on set, so it's true.
So you had been doing pre-production, but you didn't have your Mikey Saber yet.
It's complicated. The Mikey we had in mind didn't work out.
Okay.
And it was a last minute thing. And so we were frantic. We were in Galveston pulling our hair out, going, what the hell were we going to do? And you want to tell that story? Because you're the one you're the one.
Oh, so like a few years ago, like years before we made Red Rocket, Sean used to be into watching Vine, like Vine videos. And Simon did this, would do a lot of funny Vines, and like he'd be shirtless and stuff. And I remember him pointing at him and being like, if we ever make that movie about the suitcase pimp, this guy would be perfect. So we were sitting around the table and we were trying to figure out who would be good to cast, and it was like days and days and days. And then finally I was like, oh my God, that guy! And then everyone looked at me and I was like, that guy, from those little videos? And then it took a little while, but it was Simon.
Like 4 years later, and I smoke a lot, so I forgot.
We all forgot.
We all forgot. But then it turns out that Sean's, and then it's during COVID, so it's like really weird. And so it turns out that Sean's sister, who's a production designer, Stefanik, her best friend, who she went to college with, had dated Simon when she was 18 years old, and they remained friends. So Stefanik reached out to our friend Mo, who called Simon, who said, yeah, I'm in. And then I sent him an audition. I sent him some stuff to read, and I said, oh, you know, I know it's a lot of dialogue, it's a monologue, but just do the best you can. And let me know when you want to get it back to me, and I'll take it. And he's like, okay. He sent it back 30 minutes later, and it was amazing.
We were laughing out loud going, this is a miracle. And he said, I'll be in Texas in 3 days? He had to drive, obviously we all had to drive at that time.
Oh my God, I mean, you had to like have a lot of faith that it was all gonna work out with Simon, right? Like, or did you just know that
No,
it
I
would be?
knew,
Okay.
we knew, watching that self-tape.
Okay. Producers, how panicked were you at that point when you lose your one Mikey and you have to find another?
I mean, I think the name of the game, that just sort of is working with Sean in general. So, in the best way, like, you're just sort of unfazed because, again, like, you'll walk out of an outhouse and, like, there's your actress, like, you know, it happens kind of over and over again with all different things, like finding the location when we're on our way to a location that we can't get access to. Like, you just really lean into, like, lack of control and
Serendipity, letting
Yep.
the magic happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, Florida Project was immensely stressful, and then I had nothing left. So,
Also, shout out to Glenn Basman, who's in the room somewhere, who's our financier, who just like totally supported us all the way through this, you know, very just.
So Drew, how did you and Sean connect on this? Like, have you ever worked, this is the first time you worked together, right? How did you find Drew to be your DP?
Well, it was funny because I think either you or Alexis might have reached out to me. Alexis shot Florida Project, and he was going to shoot Red Rocket, and he reached out to me about finding crew, about recommendations, like months before. This was probably like in the spring. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, I can't remember if I sent you. I think I did send some people, but then my agent called me one day, you know, middle of COVID. I think it was like August or something. It was like, Sean Baker is gonna call you. Wants you to shoot this movie. And I was like, I just said, I'll shoot it. I didn't read the script. I was just like, I'll do it. You know, Florida Project I really liked, and of course Tangerine, and there's also like a full circle aspect of it for me, because you know, Sean, when I talked to him, he's like, he wanted to shoot on 16 in Texas, and I went to school at University of Texas in Austin. I grew up kind of in Houston, and Galveston in Texas City was like, that was like where we would go to the beach.
Oh, wow.
So like, and I learned how to shoot on 16 in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And so like, there was all this serendipity around it. It was just like, it felt like I had to. It felt like it was meant to be. And yeah, I just like packed all my stuff, borrowed some equipment, jumped in a car and drove to Texas. And it was like a trip down memory lane, you know, making it.
Well, that's why those skies and oil refineries look so beautiful.
Well, that's honestly, that's one of the things I'm the proudest of the movie, and even watching it again, like, I still feel the same way. Is like, I think the movie has a real solid sense of place. Like, I think we tried to cram as much Texas City and as much refinery and as much nuance and like uniqueness of like the locations and the personality of that place into every frame of the movie. Like, we were literally just like moving the camera half inch this way, half inch this way, just to get like a smokestack perfectly framed through a window or through like, I mean, it was a lot. Like, and I really enjoyed making the movie this way with Sean. And I guess what I'm saying is that like, it was very crafted in a way, you know, that I wasn't expecting, you know, because I had one idea in my head, is like what it was going to be like working with Sean. It's like chaotic and handheld, and like Tangerine was so energetic and moving and fluid. And well, we were like composing every frame, and very deliberate about everything. And it was a real treat.
Yeah, it was incredible working with Drew. I remember that, I loved his work on Waves, and I knew about his Texas connection, so it was just an easy decision. But we were like basically we were 100% on the same page from minute one. And also, I loved all the incredible, like we watched some films for reference sake, and everything from Paris, Texas to Sugarland Express, which was really wonderful to revisit. And now it's like my favorite Spielberg because, and trying to, at least capture a little bit of the energy of those lateral driving shots and stuff. That all comes from Drew, and when Drew sold me on this, I was just like, this is so wonderful. I love working with this craftsman. He's so incredible. Yeah.
I love all the slow zooms and crash zooms and like, what was the aesthetic inspiration for that kind of motif?
I like zooms. I remember when I was
I like zooms too.
Yeah, and there's a very, and I love feeling a human behind that. And especially with the manual zooms, in which you can really there are inconsistencies and everything, and also just the humor of zooms. When I went to NYU, I was told not to use zooms. In film school, we were told don't use zooms; it's cheap. So we're celebrating them now.
I like Zooms too. I'm obsessed with them. It's the one thing your eyes can't do. Think about it. It's like the one thing your eyes can't do. So it's like kind of surreal. It's a surreal camera movement. And like, you're right, it's funny. Like when it zooms into her lips, when she says suitcase.
We did that so many times.
Oh.
I remember we did that, what, like 40 times? It was like
Probably
really,
the most
it was
number
like
of times,
crazy.
just because we
Yeah.
knew was the punchline of the film.
It's so fun.
And Brie Elrod, who plays, she's a mostly a theater actress, right?
Yes, but she's done a lot of films.
Yeah.
And she's incredible. Went to school with Samantha.
Oh, so have you known her for a long time?
Yeah, I've known her, over 20 years, and as soon as this part came up, Sean, had the role, and I said, if you trust me, I know the perfect person for this part. And she's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing in the film. I also love, rewatching it, I love the ending because it's like this matriarchy of Texas City that just kicks him out. With Judy Hill, who plays Leandria, she's amazing too, and June and Lil and all those characters are just such a delight to watch.
They were wonderful to work with. And Marlon, who plays his brother, he was just a local that we found. I forgot how.
We were scouting this one house. It was like I guess the house had been taken over because there was some guy living in there who had like all these animals. Remember?
Yeah.
And it was like a health code issue. It was like it was bad. And the cops they had to go over and basically condemn the home. I think he had passed away or something. So Marlon and his mother were clearing the house out. They were just really pulling all this stuff out. But Sean and I liked it because it was right in front of the backdrop was the refinery. So we were like, oh, that would be
We might use this condemned home for our
Yeah.
set.
Well,
It's
it was all visible,
That's
and,
the way we think.
yeah, and so he was just this, he was just pulling, and we were just like, oh, you'd be good in the movie, and he was like, yeah, okay, maybe, we're not quite sure, and, but it was tough getting him into film because of his other job, and, but, yeah, it was amazing.
And Lonnie was also someone that you cast just from around town, right?
He
Yeah.
came from a location scout as well. We were at one of the restaurants where the interviews take place in the beginning, and I was talking to his boss about using the location. Suddenly he barrels into the kitchen going, there's about 20 pounds of shrimp outside that's melting in the heat or something like that. And I'm like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
And he's incredible. Ethan Garbone, he is a cinephile. He had seen my film, so when I approached him, he was immediate, and I could just see he can act. And then of course, Samantha is wonderful with working with the actors, coaching them, and I think you worked with him a little bit, and yeah, just wonderful.
He and Simon have such a great dynamic together. I was curious if you allowed them to do any improv, or okay.
There's definitely improv in the film, and there's a lot of mean, obviously it's very written as well. Like those monologues, those long monologues. But there's so much that all of the actors brought. Just with like throwing in a zinger here or there. The one that kills me is that when Susie Sun, by the way, she's amazing. Sam and I found her at the ArcLight.
Oh.
They better open that place back up.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 years before. But anyway, so that scene where, you know, she touches Simon and Simon goes, you know, in the donut shop, the first, when she makes the move, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? And Simon goes, do you want to get fired? And then she goes, no, I want to get hired. And that was an improv line, but I didn't have her coverage for it, and we were running out of time, and I remember Drew saying, you're gonna want to reverse on that. You want to get that line. I'm like, we don't have time, and now it's this day. I'm like, oh, I wish I turned the camera around and got that wonderful line that she
Was
did.
it the last day that this movie
That
show
was like one of the last days.
Yeah, which was a great, it was like an 18 hour.
Anyway, that's the type of quality of the stuff that I actually.
I mean, that line is incredible. All right, I just have to ask, what is it with donut shops?
Okay, so it wasn't supposed to be a donut shop. It was written for a food truck that was outside the refineries. And it was on that initial trip where Coco and I were driving around the area just looking for our locations. And we drive past Donut Hole. It's the most amazing location I've ever seen. And we just slam on the brakes and be like, okay, yeah, rewrite. And
the
it was
train
also
went
a
by.
nice call back to Tangerine in a way and stuff like that. So it was just serendipity. It was a perfectly the perfect location, and it wrote itself.
So when the train goes by, are you saying, yes, this is going to add so much flavor and texture and color, or are you going, oh no, it's going to ruin all of our sound?
Oh, the first part, I mean, yeah, we were just standing there, we were just looking, admiring this location, and all lit up, you know, because it was at night, and then, yeah, the train goes by, we're like, all right, we're gonna use this, you know, like, we gotta use this, and so this is so perfect, so.
Also that scene where the proposal scene, we only had one take.
Really?
Yeah.
We had to wait for the train.
We were waiting for the train. I think we were scouting and like asking railroad workers.
We were flagging them down, well, as the train would go by, we'd flag them down, and be like, hey, what's the train schedule, you know, to try to find out so we could time it out.
And they were like, oh, there's a big one coming. It's a long one. It's gonna last like a scene, you know. Because like there had been a couple of short ones go by, and they were like really kind of bummed out. And then the long one, we had heard about it coming, and then it wasn't like it was just a static shot. It was like, remember, it was like a whip pan, and then we're pushing in and dollying in. I was like, so it was like you had to nail the whip pan, and you had to nail the push in. They had to nail the performance. And I think Simon was like late.
Yeah, so he got the wrong call time or something.
It was like,
It was very stressful, he got confused.
it was
But I think with everybody is just on for that, to make sure, you know, you're getting it, and it just worked out perfectly, to the point where the horn lands at the exact frame I would have dropped a sound effect horn, and that is real. Like somehow the conductor knew to, right? And she was not supposed to hear him, and I went to school with Todd Phillips, and a wonderful filmmaker and friend, and he goes, so how many times did you back that train back up and forward? And I was like, no, dude, one time.
It was a wild train. We had no control over
And then
it.
in the coverage, you could see Susie and Simon's hair billowing. That was like me with what was it? Like a flag. And I was just going like this, just trying to get the hair to blow, so it looked like a train was going by, but you know.
But I just have to say that Drew is one of the swiftest and best camera operators I've ever seen. No, it's true. Like, honestly, we got very few takes of a lot of shots were extremely precise, and it was because Drew was so precise and quick and amazing.
thank you.
That's
It's true. So Drew, do you usually operate as well?
Oh yeah. Well, the movies I really care about, yeah. If I get away with it, I absolutely. I feel like I mean, sure, the control freak aspect of it, but also like I just enjoy it. It's like the best part of the job, and it's hard to give that to someone else, especially the relationship you have with the actors. And like, I feel like when you operate, you have permission to try things in the moment that you would. So I think sometimes operators might feel like shy or like they don't feel like they're enabled to do things like that. Because sometimes I'll just try something. I'll pan to something. I'll pan to the other person, and I'm thinking also as an editor too, and like trying to arm Sean for the edit and like give him things to cut with and movements to cut with, and it's hard to just give that to someone, you know? Like they don't entirely get it all the time, or feel like enabled to do those things and take those risks. Because sometimes I'll fuck it up, and that's okay. But it's on me, you know?
And that's this like wonderful collaboration that you guys have. You sort of have to like share a brain.
Yeah. Oh, I used to want to operate, but when Drew started, what he showed me he could do on Red Rocket, and I love his handheld so much, and he's very aware of what's about to come. For example, that shot where Simon notices Susie for the first time, and he makes a camera adjustment to allow the flare to hit and flare up over Simon's face.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
So after working on this, obviously, Drew, you shot Honora as well. Was that just because you guys had such a great working relationship on this, and then you went to Brooklyn and you're shooting on 35, and I mean, what did you sort of take with you, just this?
Well, I remember when I saw Red Rocket for the first time. It was in New York, actually, and it was like a Tastemaker A24 screening, and I remember just watching it and just being like, the next one we have to shoot on 35.
A little too grainy?
I mean, not to say that it looks like that. I mean, I love the way it looks, and it's so right for this film. But like knowing what the next movie was, and like, it just felt like, okay, we have to take the next level up, because, you know, we shot 16mm anamorphic, which is such a weird combination of like almost opposites, because 16 is like, it's like a very cheap, it's a cheaper format, it's like kind of lo-fi, but it's anamorphic, which is Hollywood. It has like this whole thing about it, you know, it's like, it's glamorous. So like putting the two together was like really interesting for this, because it's kind of those two themes even working together. But Honora was like, okay, this is about like wealth, and it just felt like it needed to be a little bigger format, and like and also like we shot with these Russian lenses that were like perfect for that film. Yeah, so I think that was my takeaway. It was like, okay, we got to go bigger, but also I think that a lot of the same sensibilities are in there too, like some of the playfulness, and you know, some of the zooms, and some of the chaos, and the formalism too. You know, it's all there.
All right, before we go, I just need to know, when did you decide that Bye 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 was going to be Mikey's theme song? Was it before? Was it
It
post?
was during prep.
During
We were
prep.
driving around in cars listening to songs, right? We were just searching for the song.
I remember
and
you were.
Susie was gonna perform.
I remember I was like in the living room, and because we're all living together in Texas, and you came in to you were like, I figured it out. I know the song. Let me play it for you. And he had a CD of the.
Yes,
of
he
Bye.
made a CD.
He went and bought it. I don't, you know, and played it for me on the little radio that they had at the Airbnb. And I was like, yeah, I know this song. I got to get it. Yeah,
And we knew Susie was is a musician, and we wanted her to perform, so we were trying to find a song.
Right. I mean, it's such a perfect choice of a song because it kind of fits with like Simon's era, but also the era that Mikey Saber would have been, you know, really popular. And then playing it backwards at the end, like, can we talk a little bit about the end and sort of where we leave Mikey? Or do you not want to explain
I don't want to go,
anything?
yeah, because obviously my endings are usually left up for some interpretation, but you know, it is full circle stuff.
Yeah.
And also, we're right back to the beginning again. And you know, one can see it as perhaps a retelling, the entire Strawberry plot being a retelling of his relationship with Lexi.
Right.
So there was a, I remember playing Bye 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 for the first time backwards. That's why I had to buy that CD, by the way. I had to look at it and put it back. And I just loved the way it sounded. It was just, and I knew then when I was listening to it that was going to accompany that
Okay, I guess I do have one final question, which is, how does it feel to receive the highest accolade for a film, which is being on John Waters' top 10 of the year?
Oh,
Are you familiar with John Waters'
Oh,
John
of
Waters'
course.
top 10 of the
Yes,
year? Like
yes,
that
yes.
is, when I saw it was on that list, I was like, that is the highest award anyone can get.
you mean for that year?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes, yes. I know I didn't make it.
Red Rocket did, yes.
Yeah, Red Rocket, yeah, and I remember, yes, he's so wonderful, and we've become very good friends, and I remember him looking at me going like, but you're gonna get in trouble.
Well, I wish we could talk more about this great film. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you all for coming out, and this is